Welcome back. Super excited moving forward in this short lesson, about 3 slides. I'd just like to highlight the importance and the types of data. So we'll take a look at within machine learning data types such as structured, semi-structured, or unstructured data. The fundamental goal of machine learning is simply to generalize beyond the data instances that is used to train models. Okay, and that's again the fundamental goal. With the respect to data types, there are 3 that I mentioned briefly: structured data, semi-structured data, and then unstructured data. There are additional data types that we're typically used to hearing, such as big data, right, so to speak, or data in general, raw data. But once again, with respect to machine learning terminology and processes, we will focus on these 3 data types. So let's take a look at in depth what these 3 data types entail. First, the structured data. It simply concerns all data which can be stored in a database such as Microsoft SQL or MySQL. In other words, in a table with rows and columns. So you have an Excel spreadsheet, for example, which has rows and columns. If you place data in that, that would be a structured data type, right? Or database which you can query as well. So these data types have a relational key, let's say a primary key defined with an ID as an identifier that can be easily mapped into pre-designed fields. And we are comfortable with the databases, right? So it's exactly what that is. That is structured data, which is highly organized information that uploads neatly into a relational database. And of course, once you have a database or data within tables, rows, and columns, you can simply query data, right? You can pull data any which way you like. So structured data is relatively simple to enter, store, query, and analyze. However, it must be strictly defined in terms of field name and type. So it has to have a header, a column header, and then of course a row identifiers. Semi-structured data, moving on, is information that does not reside in a relational database, but that does have some organizational properties that makes it easier to analyze. So this data type is simply, think of this as a form of structured data that does not conform with the formal definition of structured data that we just talked about, or the structure of data models that are associated with relational databases such as DBase or Microsoft SQL, MySQL, and so on. However, it does contain tags or other markers to separate elements and enforce hierarchies of records and fields within the data. So an example of a semi-structured data is a CSV file, an XML file, or JSON format, which is Java object notification, right? So that's the types of semi-structured. The unstructured data, lastly, have its own internal structure, but does not conform neatly to a spreadsheet or database. So the fundamental challenge of unstructured data sources is that they are difficult for non-technical business users, like a layman user would not know what to do with an unstructured data, and data analysts alike to unbox, understand, or prepare for analytic use. So let's say you have, for example, enterprise-wide data or emails that are being collected, right, randomly, and all you have is just terabytes and terabytes of data, but you not know what to do with it. So most business interactions, in fact, are unstructured in nature. So you have communication with one vendor, for example, you have communication with your employees, you have your HR data stored, you have your financial data stored. So all of these are all intermingled, right? So in order to make sense out of this data from this unstructured data could be a challenge. So today, typically more than 80% of the data is unstructured. So I just wanted to cover this types of data types that are used in machine learning concepts. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions based on this, feel free to post in the discussion area. And with this, let's move to the next lesson.